Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you the most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. That'll be worth you a 3-day trip here. Here, you impart to you the most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Sounds like a good deal. The opening words of the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita indicate that the Supreme Godhead is speaking. Here Sri Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan. Bhag means opulences, and Van means one who possesses. We have some conception of God, but in the Vedic literature there are definite descriptions and definitions of what is meant by God. And what is meant is described in one word, Bhagavan. Bhagavan possesses all opulences, the totality of knowledge, wealth, power, beauty, fame, and renunciation. When we find someone who possesses these opulences in full, we are to know that he is God. There are many rich, wise, famous, beautiful, and powerful men, but no one can claim to possess all these opulences. Only Krishna claims to possess them in totality. The sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Here Krishna proclaims that he is the enjoyer of all activities and the proprietor of all planets. Sarvaloka Maheshwara. An individual may possess a large tract of land and he may be proud of his ownership, but Krishna claims to possess all planetary systems. Krishna also claims to be the friend of all living entities. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. When a person understands that God is the proprietor of everything, the friend of everyone, and the enjoyer of all, he becomes very peaceful. This is the peace formula. Knowing that Krishna is the what? Proprietor of everything, and he is the supreme enjoyer, and the friend of everyone. This is a peace formula. Proprietor, he owns everything, he's their dearmost friend, and he's the supreme enjoyer. If we understand that concept and apply it, we become peaceful. This is the actual peace formula. No one can have peace as long as he thinks I am the proprietor. Who is capable of claiming proprietorship? Only a few hundred years ago, the Red Indians were considered to be the proprietors of America. Today, we in our turn are claiming that proprietorship. But in 400 or 1,000 years, perhaps someone else will come to claim the same. The land is here, and we come here and falsely claim ourselves to be the proprietors of it. This philosophy of false proprietorship is not in line with Vedic injunctions. Sri Upanishad states that everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. The truth of this statement is factual, but under illusion we are thinking that we are the proprietors. In actuality, God owns everything, and therefore he is called the richest. Of course, there are many men who claim to be God. In India, for instance, at any time, one has no difficulty in finding at least 1 dozen people claiming to be God. But if you ask them if they are the proprietor of everything, they find this difficult to answer. This is the criterion by which we can understand who God is. God is the proprietor of everything. And being so, he must be more powerful than anyone or anything else. When Krishna was personally present on this earth, no one could conquer him. There is no record of his ever having lost a battle. He belonged to a Kshatriya warrior family, and the Kshatriyas are meant to give protection to the weak. As far as his opulence is concerned, he married 16,108 wives. Every wife had her own separate palace, and Krishna expanded himself 16,108 times in order to enjoy them all. This may seem difficult to believe, but it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, and the great sages of India recognize this as scripture and recognize Krishna as God. In the first verse of this 9th chapter, by the word Guhyatama, Sri Krishna intimates that he is imparting the most confidential knowledge to Arjuna. Why is he proclaiming this to Arjuna? It is because Arjuna is anasuya, not envious. In the material world, if someone is greater than us, we are envious. We are not only envious of one another, but of God. Also, when Krishna says, I am the proprietor, we disbelieve it. But this is not the case with Arjuna, who listens to Krishna without envy. Arjuna does not cavil, is that the right word? Cavil with Krishna, but agrees with whatever he says. This is a special qualification. And this is the way of understanding Bhagavad Gita. It's not possible to understand what God is by our own mental speculations. We have to hear and we have to accept. Because Arjuna is not envious, Krishna speaks the special knowledge to him. This is not only theoretical knowledge, but practical knowledge, Vijnana Sahitam. Whatever knowledge we receive from Bhagavad Gita should not be taken for sentimentality or fanaticism. The knowledge is both jnana and vijnana, theoretical wisdom and scientific knowledge. If one becomes well versed in this knowledge, liberation is certain. Life in this material world is by nature inauspicious and miserable. Moksha means liberation, and the promise is that by dint of understanding this knowledge, one will attain liberation from all miseries. It is important, then, to understand what Krishna says about this knowledge. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitram Virutvam, Vichitsavarvam, Dhamyam, Sukam Kartamavyam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion, it is everlasting, it is joyfully performed. According to Bhagavad Gita, the topmost knowledge, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, is Krishna consciousness. Because in Bhagavad Gita we find that the symptom of one who is actually knowledge is that he is surrendered unto Krishna. As long as we go on speculating about God but do not surrender, it is understood that we have not attained the perfection of knowledge. The perfection of knowledge is Vahanam Janmanamante Gyanamam Vabhadyante Vasudeva Sarvamati Samam Masadurdava. After many births and deaths, he who is actually knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. As long as we do not surrender, we cannot understand God. Surrender to God may take many births, but if we accept that God is great, it is possible to surrender to him immediately. But generally, this is not our position in the material world. We are characteristically envious and consequently think, oh, why should I surrender to God? I am independent. I should work independently. Therefore, in order to rectify this misgiving, we have to work for many births. In this regard, the name of Krishna is especially significant. Krishna means repetition of birth, and Nam means one who checks. Our repetition of birth can be checked only by God. No one can check this repetition of birth and death without the causeless mercy of God. The subject matter of the 9th chapter is Raja Vidya. Raja means king and Vidya means knowledge. In ordinary life, we find one person king in one subject and another in another subject. This knowledge, however, is sovereign over all others, and all the knowledge is subject or relative to it. The word Rajaguyam indicates that this sovereign knowledge is very confidential, and the word Pavitram means that it is very pure. This knowledge is also Uttamam. Ud means means transcend, and Tama means darkness. And that knowledge which surpasses this world and the knowledge of this world is called Uttama. And the knowledge of this world is called Uttama. It is the knowledge of light, and darkness has been separated from it. If one follows this path of knowledge, he will personally understand how far he has progressed down the path of perfection. Suzukam Kartam indicates that this knowledge is very happy and joyful to execute. And Avyam indicates that this knowledge is permanent. We may work in this material world for education or riches, but these things are not Avyam. For as soon as this body is finished, everything else is also finished. With death or education, advanced degrees, bank balances, family, everything are all finished. Whatever we're doing in this material world is not eternal. However, this knowledge is not like that. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Knowledge in Krishna consciousness is so perfect that if one performs work in Krishna consciousness and yet does not attain perfection, in his next life he takes up from wherever he left off. In other words, actions performed in Krishna consciousness are durable. On the other hand, material achievements, because they pertain to the body, are vanquished at death. Knowledge that pertains to designations does not endure. I am thinking that I am a man or a woman, an American or an Indian, a Christian or a Hindu. These are all designations pertaining to the body, and when the body is finished, they will also be finished. We are actually spirit, and therefore our spiritual activities will go with us wherever we go. Sri Krishna indicates that this king of knowledge is also happily performed. We can easily see that activities in Krishna consciousness are joyfully done. There is chanting and dancing, eating prasad, food that has been offered to Krishna, and discussing Bhagavad Gita. These are the main processes. There are not stringent rules and regulations that we have to sit so straight for so long, or do so many gymnastics, or control our breath. No, the process is a very easy and happy one. Everyone wants to dance, to sing, to eat, and to hear the truth. This process is truly sushikam, very happy. In the material world, there are so many gradations of education. Some people never finish grammar school or high school, whereas others go on and receive a university education, BA and PhD, so on. But what is this Rajavidya, the king of education, the sum and bottom of knowledge? It is this Krishna consciousness. Real knowledge is understanding what I am. Unless we come to the point of understanding what we are, we cannot attain real knowledge. When Sanatana Goswami left his government post and came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time, he asked the Lord, what is education? Although Sanatana Goswami knew a number of languages, including Sanskrit, he still inquired about real education. The general populace calls me highly educated, Sanatana Goswami told the Lord, and I am such a fool that I actually believe them. The Lord replied, why should you not think that you're well educated? You're a great scholar in Sanskrit and Persian. That may be, Sanatana Goswami said, but I do not know what I am. He then went on to tell the Lord, I do not wish to suffer, but these material miseries are forced upon me. I neither know where I've come from, nor where I'm going, but people are calling me educated. When they call me a great scholar, I am satisfied, but in truth, I am such a great fool that I know not what I am. Sanatana Goswami is actually speaking for all of us, but this is our present situation. We may be proud of our education, academic education, but if I ask what we are not able to say. Everyone is under the conception that this body is the self, but we learn from vague sources that this is not so. Only after realizing that we are not these bodies can we enter into real knowledge and understand what we actually are. This then is the beginning of knowledge. Rajavidya may be further defined as not only knowing what one is, but acting accordingly. If we do not know who we are, how can our activities be proper? If we are mistaken about our identity, we will also be mistaken about our activities. Simply knowing that we are not these material bodies is not sufficient. We must act according to the conviction that we are spiritual. Action based on this knowledge, spiritual activity, is work in Krishna consciousness. This kind of knowledge may be seen to be so easily attainable, but it is made very easy by the mercy of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who made this knowledge easily available through the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided the living entities into two major categories. Those that are moving and those that are not moving. Trees, grass, plants, stones, etc. do not move because they do not have sufficient developed consciousness. Their consciousness is there but is covered. If a living being does not understand his position, he is stone-like, although dwelling in a human body. The living entities, birds, reptiles, animals, insects, human beings, demigods, etc. number over 8 million species, and of these a very small number are human beings. But Chaitanya further points out that of the 400,000 species of human beings, some are civilized, and out of many of these civilized persons, there are only a few who are devoted to the scriptures. In the present day, most people claim to be devoted to some religion, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, etc., but in fact they do not really believe in the scriptures. Those who do believe in the scriptures are, by and large, attached to pious philanthropic activities. They believe that religion means yoga, sacrifice, dana, charity, and tapas, penance. One who engages in tapasya undertakes voluntary, very rigid regulations, such as brahmacharis, students, celibates, or sannyasis renounce or undertake. Charity means voluntarily giving away one's material possessions. In the present age, there is no sacrifice. But from historical literatures like the Mahabharata, we get information that kings performed sacrifices by distributing rubies, gold, and silver. Yajna was primarily for kings, and charity on a much smaller scale was meant for householders. Those who actually believed in scriptures usually adopted some of these principles, but generally in this age, people simply say that they belong to religion, but in actuality do nothing. Out of millions of such people, a very small number actually perform charity, sacrifice, and penance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further points out that of the millions that perform such religious principles all over the universe, only a few attain perfect knowledge and understand what they are. Just knowing I am not this body, but in spirit soul is not sufficient. We have to escape this entanglement of material nature. This is called mukti, liberation. Out of many thousands of persons who are in self-knowledge as to what and who they are, only one or two may be actually liberated. And out of many thousands who are liberated, only one or two may understand what and who Krishna is. So understanding Krishna is not such an easy job. Thus, in this age of Kali, an age characterized by ignorance and chaos, liberation is out of the reach of practically everyone. One has to go through the whole ordeal of becoming civilized and religious, and then one has to perform charities and sacrifices, come to the platform of knowledge, then to the stage of liberation, and finally after liberation, to understand of what Krishna is. This process is also indicated in Bhagavad Gita. One who is thus transcendently situated once realizes the Supreme Brahman, he never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. These are the signs of liberation. The first symptom of one who is liberated is that he is very happy. It is not possible to find him aroused. Nor does he have any anxiety. He never frets, this thing I don't have. Oh, I must secure this thing. Oh, this bill I have to pay. I have to go there, here, and there. One who is liberated has no anxiety at all. He may be the poorest man in the world, but he never laments nor thinks that he is poor. Why should he think that he is poor? When we think that we are these material bodies and that we have possessions to go with them, then we think that we are poor or rich. But one who is liberated from the material conception of life has nothing to do with possessions or lack of possessions. I have nothing to lose and nothing to gain, he thinks. I am completely separate from all this. Nor does he see anyone else as rich or poor, educated or uneducated, beautiful or ugly, etc. He does not see any material dualities, for his vision is completely on the spiritual platform, and he sees that every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, seeing all entities in their true identity, he tries to take them back to Krishna consciousness. His viewpoint is that everyone, whether he be Brahman or Sudra, black or white, Hindu, Christian, or whatever, should come to the Krishna consciousness. When one is situated in this way, then he becomes eligible for becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. Practically speaking, this process is not very easy in the age of Kali. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the description is given of the people of this age. The duration of life is said to be very short. They tend to be phlegmatic and slow and just sleep a great deal. And when they're not sleeping, they're busy earning money. At the most, they only have 2 hours a day for spiritual activities. So what is the hope for spiritual understanding? It is also stated that even if one is anxious to make spiritual progress, there are so many pseudo-spiritual societies to take advantage of. People are also characterized in this age of being unfortunate. They have a great deal of difficulty meeting the primary demands of life: eating, defending, mating, and sleeping, necessities which are met even by the animals. Even if people are meeting these necessities in this age, they are always anxious about war, either defending themselves from aggression or having to go to war themselves. In addition to this, there are always disturbing diseases and economic problems in Kali Yuga. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna considered that in this age it is impossible for people to come to the perfectional stage of liberation by following the prescribed rules and regulations. Thus, out of this causeless mercy, Sri Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and distributed the means to the highest perfection of life and spiritual ecstasy by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. This process of chanting is most practical, and it does not depend on whether one is liberated or not, or whether one's condition is conducive to spiritual life or not. Whoever takes this process becomes immediately purified. Therefore, it is called pavitram, pure. Furthermore, for one who takes this Krishna consciousness process, the seeds of latent reactions to sinful actions are all nullified. Just as fire turns whatever we put into it to ashes, this process turns to ashes all the sinful reactions of our past lives. We must understand that our suffering is due to our sinful activity, and sinful activities due to our ignorance. Sins or transgressions are committed by those who do not know what is what. A child, for instance, will naively put his hand in a fire because of ignorance. He is thus burned immediately, for the fire is impartial and does not allow any special consideration for the innocent child. It simply will act as fire. Similarly, we do not know how this material world is functioning, whose control it is, nor how it is controlled, and due to our ignorance we act in foolish ways. But nature is so stringent that she does not allow us to escape the reactions to our actions. Whether we commit and act knowingly or unknowingly, reactions and consequent sufferings are there. However, through knowledge, we can understand what the actual situation is, who God is, and what our relationship with Him is. This knowledge by which we can gain release from suffering is possible in the human form of life, not in the animal form. To give us knowledge, to give us proper direction, there are scriptures written in various languages in all parts of the world. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that people are forgetful from time immemorial about their relationship with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Krishna has sent so many representatives to impart the scriptures to men. We should take advantage of these, especially Bhagavad Gita, which is the prime scripture for the modern world. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? So, yes. What's the peace formula? Proprietor. Proprietor, he's our dearmost friend and the supreme enjoyer. Right? So you got that verse that states that, like Krishna, it's like the roots of the tree. We're like the leaf on the tree. Krishna's the whole tree, like the leaf on the tree. So if we water the roots of the tree, automatically the whole tree is satisfied. So assuming we serve Krishna, everybody's satisfied, including ourselves. This is the way for us to enjoy, by pleasing the supreme enjoyer. Since if Krishna is pleased, then we're pleased. This is the secret to the peace formula. And he's our dearmost friend. Friends are cool. Krishna is our dearmost friend. And he is the proprietor of everything. You know, his body, his mind. Can I say this is mine? I mean, he's given it for me to use, but it's his property. You can take it whenever he wants. I can't just keep it around as long as I want. Right? Sometimes it doesn't work the way I want it to work, right? It's working the way he wants it to work. So yeah. So that's the peace formula. So anybody who wants to be peaceful, anytime you want to be peaceful, or anytime you recognize you're not peaceful and you want to be peaceful, right? Does that ever happen? When you go throughout your day and you go, wait, I'm in anxiety about this or that, or I'm troubled. Just go back to the peace formula. Okay, I gotta serve Krishna. Oh, maybe I'm trying to I forgot my dear mother. Let me just talk to my dear most friend now. Completely understands. And yeah, let me use all this in Krishna service. Maybe peaceful. No problem. Right? So that's how we become free from all the problems and miseries of life. Finding the peaceful one. How many people are peaceful out there? Road rage, all the rest. Excuse me, sir. I appreciate the bird that just flew me. How about a book on Krishna consciousness? Check it out. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Feel free. There's your time. You have anything there, son? Did you find that of value though? Yeah. These are like eternal gems. That's what you're going to get. Eternal gems. Walk away. Or you can stay forever for sure. But if you do walk away, you walk away with some gems. The peaceful. It's not, you have to be a Hindu to be peaceful. Only you can be a Christian. Only you can be peaceful if you're a Christian. No, these are gems that are transcendental to all these material designations. Yeah. Yes?
Just a small comment. I can't remember exactly what the sentence was, but somewhere along the lines of, like when we come sync up to the knowledge, then it's the process of realizing the self. And it just made me think, like we have the knowledge and understanding that, we're spirit and souls, and the nature of the soul is ever eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. But that aspect of, like, it's the process of realizing is something that I don't personally I don't think about so much. That even though we understand these things, there's a theory of it, and there's also like the process of being patient with ourselves to understand like what our realization is. Like, I guess the unfolding of that realization.
I missed the last sentence. Sorry.
Like the unfolding of that realization. It's not like realization takes patience.
Yeah, there's a story of a guru and a couple of his disciples came to him in the ashram and he said, hey Guruji, sorry, we're going to leave. He says, yeah. What did he say? He said, yeah, I feel like we're not quite getting it, no, that's not. So we don't quite understand, not quite getting it. He's like, oh, is that what? Oh, thank God. I said, like, what, are you grateful that we don't not quite getting it? He said, yeah, I thought you were going to say you figured it all out. So, I think it was fun. So it takes time, right? Gotta be patient, right? It's those people that think they figured it all out that leave, that fall on their faces, yeah. So, but to think that they said something like, we don't feel like we're not making enough progress. That was what they said, yeah. It's like, oh, thank God. Second there, I thought you'd say that you figured it all out. So that's the concern, Yeah, to admit the progress, it's gradual. It's gradual, patient, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, but I remember Vaisheshwar Guru mentioned something, in a day, we're like a little disappointed that we didn't get enough done. But then if you look at your month, you go, I did all that? And then you look at the year, you're like, whoa. And we might not notice the incremental process, but if you just somebody that hasn't seen you for 6 months notices you, and you just go, oh my God, you're a completely different person. Applying yourself in Krishna consciousness. That's reality. And in fact, I've come around here once a year, a lot of the temples once a year. I'm like, see this person was a brand new bhakta a year ago, and you're like, my God, is that you? Like, what transformation? I mean, already on a Paramahamsa level, way above Sadhguru and all the rest, in just a few months. This is crazy. I mean, this is reality. This is how much progress we make in such little time. So yeah. And yeah, be patient with ourselves. It's a good thing. Caring about ourselves. Yeah. But you'll see that it works. You might not notice the incremental adjustments. But every time I go to India, I noticed how much, like the first time I go to India, how agitated I was. And like the fifth time there, it's like, wow, not nearly the same agitation as it was the first time, for sure. Able to grasp so much more. Yeah. So the progress is definitely there. Yes.
I would like to ask something about what you were telling downstairs in the room. Just mention it so devotees can relate.
Can you all hear me? Oh, I can repeat it either way.
Yeah. So you were telling us about the experience in Vrindavan in India, how you read that in every page you can meet Krishna, basically. So, yes, in every page you can meet Krishna. And I was curious about that for two reasons. One is, recently I was hearing about a story of a temple where devotees were pumping out books, but the temple leadership, they said that chant and be unhappy, and the next life you will become happy. And they weren't giving time for devotees to read the books, so reading the books is very important. And Mataji, when Prabhupada was in the temple, asked, so Prabhupada, is it okay if we just distribute your books? And Prabhupada was very angry, and he like, oh, why do you think like this? I'm working so hard, I'm writing all these books for you, and you're just thinking that I'm writing these books to make money? Why do you think like that? So reading the books is very important, and I see that many devotees are struggling with reading, or they cannot penetrate, they cannot go deep. Just some writing for them, they're not inspired, and then they might go out and distribute, but then they may be just like these shooting stars, for sometimes they do it, but in order to do it for a long time, they really need to absorb. So I'm curious about this point, how we can reach this state when we meet Krishna on the pages.
Wow, I think this is, knowledge is the highest achievement in life. This is literally the highest achievement in life. Highest. This is total nectar to me. And to have time to read it is so blissful. But honestly, sometimes I go like on a book distribution marathon, I don't have much time to read, and then it's hard to get back into reading. So I've noticed that within myself. So knowing that, just try to do it in a disciplined way, helps to get me back into reading. It's okay to take a little break. Prabhupada said we should read at least an hour a day of his books. With some marathons, I might not read it all for 20 days. But then, I got 20 hours to catch up. So, if you can do it in that kind of disciplined way, wonderful. Or at least hear Prabhupada's books. Read in here. At least some connection to Prabhupada's books. Because it's total nourishment on so many levels. And literally it's non-different from Krishna. My experience actually is, if I take time to read at least an hour a day of Prabhupada's books, the fatigue of the day seems to just wash away. And I get like I'm no longer in that constant fatigue state. Do you ever feel that way, or is it just me? Yeah? You feel like constantly fatigued. I don't know. But when I read it for an hour a day, somehow just the energy goes into all the cells and just feel like the fatigue just washes away. Yeah. And Krishna is on the page, in each and every page. So to, just be open to that. And my experience is, it's true. You can see Krishna in every page. He's right there. So just to have that experience is beyond nectar. Krishna's everything. To be connected with everything all the time, that's perfect. You don't need it, like Prabhupada was writing there. He doesn't need anything. He's got it all. Serving Krishna, you get Krishna. It's always just plugging in nicely, sustainably. You're always with Krishna. Now, maybe you don't see him face to face sometimes. Maybe you do while you read the Bhagavatam or when you're washing the pots. But he's always there. He's none different. from the service. Everything is there. Krishna is just there. When we serve Krishna, you're with Krishna. There's no difference between the kingdom of God and the service to Krishna. Krishna never leaves the kingdom of God. Yeah, Goloka Vrindavan, he never leaves. Even when he left and spent his time in Dwarka or wherever, the gopis were experiencing the separation, but that separation is Krishna. He really never left Goloka Vrindavan. So anytime we serve Krishna, we're with Krishna. So faith, first it's theoretical, except that there's no reason for us not to believe in that being true. We might not realize it yet, but as we keep going, we get more and more realization. And we're doing this 25 years, and being a very skeptical person, like I'm very skeptical. Americans are very skeptical about so many things. So, that's okay. Prabhu says skepticism is a sign of intelligence. Be skeptical, but don't be irrational and just, there's no reason for me not to think that this is true. Lord Chaitanya said it. I mean, my God. So let me give it, all these greatest beings that have a consciousness like that have said it. So let me give it a chance. And as we do that, then we open up the ability to realize it. So Prabhupada makes that clear when we read the Bhagavad Gita. We have to at least theoretically accept that Krishna is God in order to really get it. And if we do that, then we get the realization. It becomes self-evident, as Lord Chaitanya says. Things become self-evident. Is that okay? And we realize, my God, everything Prabhupada talked about, at least, to the degree that I know it, it's true. 20 years ago, I was, well, maybe that's true. Or don't quite understand what he's saying, except it's theoretically true. But, along the way, it's like, my God, on some level, you have realization that, wow, that really is true. And then as you keep going, you have a deeper realization. It's how it works. The most pavitram, whatever. It's joyfully performed, everlasting, joyfully performed, as we learned from Rosa Vidya book. Any other comments or questions? We told you to stop at 8:15. It's 8:22. But then he said it doesn't matter what time. But you don't have any more questions. If you'd like me to do something else, you want to chant a little bit, that would be cool.
We're going to do the fire outside.
Oh, you're going to do fire yoga?
No,
Okay.
not again.
Fire yoga.
Just the campfire.
Who's going to be thrown in the fire? Simon, we needed a human sacrifice tonight. Srimad Bhagavatam, Raja Vidya Book, Ki Jai.